Hey, I got these Radio Shack Minimus 11 for free. A guy at work was like, hey, I got these speakers. I've had them since the 80s. You can have them. I kind of figured they were just going to be like bench speakers, something that I can, when I'm working on a receiver or an amplifier or something, plug them in, and if they blow up, then whatever, I can just throw them away. But I was like, hey, I'll have some fun with them. I'll see what I can do to make them better. One thing I noticed right away was that these speakers have surprisingly well built enclosures. The metal cabinets are really well braced. Like, they have arches in there, and I don't know, it's like thick metal. I don't know what kind of metal it is. It could be just aluminum, but yeah, it probably is just aluminum. I don't know what kind of aluminum it is, but it's just stuffed with tons of this fiberglass, similar stuff. It's not fiberglass. It's similar to fiberglass, but I don't think it's actually fiberglass. You knock on the cabinet, there's little to no audible resonance. Pretty much all my vintage speakers have very obvious resonance. You knock, tuck, 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 you can hear the resonance in the cabinets. The crossover is a simple design. It's just like an inductor, a resistor, and a electrolytic capacitor. That's probably already bad by now, but I mean, they were still working. So I decided to get a MPT capacitor polycap. I think it's polycap from Affinity for Artifacts eBay seller. He's selling a pair of them for $3. They're the 2.2 microfarad, 250 volt, I think, to replace the stock capacitor in there. And I went ahead and got the drop-in replacement Dayton Audio DC130A8. After the parts finally came in, I hooked them up. I was really shocked. I was so shocked that I was like, I gotta make a video about these things, because there's probably a bunch of people out there with these kicking around that are maybe broken, or they don't really think too much of them. To be honest with you, the stock woofer was awful. I mean, it had like muddy bass. I mean, it was okay. Really, that tweeter is quite good. I was reading some posts online about these speakers, and some people were saying that the highs were kind of excessive. It sounds amazing. I think it's really clear. Yeah, it has a lot of treble, but that's what it's supposed to do. You can always just dial it back on the receiver or whatever have you. I never felt like I had to. I thought it was perfect the way it was. Very clear, high end. Just super punchy. They get really loud. It's so much better with the with the woofer, and that capacitor is probably helping too, you know, but it's just so much better. It's not even funny. So if you have them kicking around, or they're really cheap somewhere, they're totally worth fixing up. I mean, they're very good speakers. I was comparing them to my Polk Audios, just going back and forth, and I was just like, wow, these are really good. Like, they're not quite as good as my Polk Monitor 10Bs, because obviously the Polks, I just have it's a preference thing at this point, but I know the Polks have more of a flaw. A lot of people would admit that they have a flaw, and I admit they're not perfect speakers. It's just a personal thing, but these little Minimus, man, now that they're upgraded, they're kind of a contender. I mean, I'm like, wow, these have tight bass, it's articulate sound, good mid-range, good highs, punchy low end. Obviously, they're not going to give you the super low, super sub lows or anything. It's a great sounding little speaker. I was really thoroughly surprised. I would think you pair these with a subwoofer, you're done, man. You have a high-end set, maybe a high-end setup, whatever that definition is to you. I think these would really surprise a lot of people. You could probably blindfold somebody and walk them in a room with these playing, these upgraded Minimus, and with a good amp and a good signal delivery, you'd be able to really surprise some people, in my opinion. And I'm actually gonna do this. I'm gonna have my buddy come over, who's another audiophile, and I'm gonna say, close your eyes and now open them, and he's probably gonna be like, what, those are those Minimus, those Radio Shack Minimus? Yep, oh, they sound freaking amazing now. I just want to run down what I was using to play with them. Obviously, I was running them through my Pioneer SX1000TW, Tidal, streaming Tidal, Weem Pro through an SMSL DAC. It's just such an amazing setup. I mean, for the amount of money it costs for that setup. But yeah, that's what I was running. I always run that setup. So yeah, very good speakers. And the owner that gave them to me for free now wants them back. And I'm like, well, if you're going to take them back, you're going to pay, at least you're going to pay what I put into them, you know. I won't charge you for the labor, obviously. Not much labor in that, but you know, just pay for the parts and you can have them back. But he doesn't really have a setup in his shop or anything like that. So I was like, well, then I got to help you set up a legitimate system. We'll see what happens. I might, I don't know. We'll see what I can do. But anyway, thanks for watching.